All right, so we're rolling now. Greetings, Leo. This is Tarot Lumination with your love and relationship report, mini kind of generic thing for May 2018. Now, May is kind of a serious month for the whole year. Just letting you guys know, I've done these little notes for everybody, so I'm doing it for you too, Leo. And it doesn't hit you directly. The really big stuff doesn't hit you directly in the fifth house of love and romance and true love. It doesn't hit you directly in the seventh house of relationship itself, okay? But it's still strong enough to have a sort of serious impact on your whole life anyway. So I feel it's important to make a note. So I'm just going to get to that in a second. I'll show you. Cards are well shuffled in advance, but I'm going to the last second so that you are a witness. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. Okay? We're going to use the crucible spread, okay, on the understanding that from Tarot Illumination perspective, there's you, Leo, there's a significant other, and there's a third entity, the relationship itself, okay, which has a life and an energy and identity of its own, okay? And in a healthy, loving relationship, both parties are aware of that and they invest accordingly. Now, before I get into the spread, I just want to show you the notes that I made, similar to everybody. This is for Leo, May 2018. The big news is the Taurus energy. May 15th, it's a big calendar moment for the whole planet. The new moon in Taurus at the same time. Uranus is moving into Taurus. It's a big deal. Big shifts, big changes, new beginnings, the ending of old ways, the beginnings of radical new ways. And for the Uranus and Taurus, it's a 7-year journey. So you're going to feel that up there in your place of destiny, your place in this world, your mission, why you're here on this planet, okay? What kind of mark are you going to leave on the planet? And simultaneously, just for the note of it, coming into May, straight at the end of April, we have that big full moon, the Taurus Scorpio full moon, which you would have felt on this axis here, which is a hard square axis to you, okay? There's you, okay, Leo? There's you. There's the Taurus Scorpio axis, and that's in a hard square to you. So it's almost like a sort of T-square thing happening to you. So that's a lot of pressure, okay? The foundations of your life, in contrast with your career, home and career, like staying at home and then being out at work, that kind of thing. But in terms of the day-to-day stuff, it's at the end of the month where you might notice something, because we have the Sagittarius full moon, May 29th, okay? The moon's going to be over here in Sagittarius, right over here, and the sun will be over here in Gemini. And those energies are very harmonious to you by nature. So by the end of the month, you really might start feeling a little bit more relief, because Taurus energy in general is a hard square to your sun, moon, or rising anyway. So the whole of May, or at least the bulk of it, except towards the end, could feel very stressful for you. A lot of significant upheavals and changes that you might start to feel happening, like shaking your foundations in this world, and that's affecting your career, and the big shakeups in your career affecting the foundations of your world, okay? I'm not even going to go into it with the Leo North Node. It's just too much here. This is just a tiny little general report. So just let's say May could be kind of shaky for you guys, Leo, in terms of your whole life. And that can have a side effect on your love and relationship. But at the end of the month, May 29th, things might make more sense to you with that full moon, Sagittarius moon and the Gemini sun, harmonious energy, okay? So we're almost shuffled. Sorry about the long preamble to get to the reading, but it is such a big deal month for everybody. I have to get into it a little bit, otherwise I feel like I'm shortchanging you. Okay, I'm going to cut it up in a very weird manner, okay? Just to break up the deck, make it really clear and clean, all right? All right, here we go. So this is you, Leo, radiating love, relationship, romance, however you want to look at it. And if you're a single, you can even stretch this out and pretend it's for a singles reading, because through the laws of attraction, you're radiating energy, and that's eventually getting reflected back to you in some way, form, or another. amplified or whatever. So this could be the energy of what if, like what if somebody showed up, or what might they be like? Okay, but otherwise this is for existing couples in some way, form, or another. All right, so that's you, Leo. This is the significant other, a chosen relationship. Okay, deliberate, conscious, chosen relationship. And over here is the depth and soul of you. Over here is the depth and soul of the other. Over here is the core of the relationship itself. So you can already see the crucible here. And the crucible is a very strong structure, ideally, in a very loving relationship, which can endure the buffeting that happens as we intimate, as we separate. We intimate and we separate constantly, all day, every day. We are intimating and separating. And that's just how it is. So it really behooves you, Leo, to invest and make sure you have a really strong crucible that you share with a significant other, so that your love and relationship can be a beautiful journey. Still going to have bumpy periods. There's no way out of that, but at least you can see that there's a mission and a purpose. Next, we're going to look at the weather before we get into it. Circumstantial energy that's out there, and you can make the best of it, hopefully, Leo. So you have the Four of Swords. So my feeling here right now is to just take May as a break, okay? There's no point in trying to fight this. These energies are so strong here. This big shift is so big and so strong. There's no point in trying to contend it. It's futile. You're just setting yourself up for a lot of pain. So the best thing to do, is this is indicating to you, is just accept it. Deliberately move yourself away from anything that could be confrontational or challenging or combative, or anything that could trigger the ego to want to flare up and challenge or combat this energy, especially in the first few weeks of May, because you're dealing with the hangover effect of this big full moon right at the very tippy end of April, okay, which is going to filter all the way through for the first couple of weeks of May. There's no point in trying to fight it. If you're struggling to deal with the energies, the best thing you can do circumstantially is take advantage of this time for healing, for self-healing. Deliberately remove yourself from the conflicts. Anything inside of you that's conflicted, give up. Anything that feels to be coming at you from the outside of you that's conflicting, step away, walk away, like it's not your problems. Just like, okay, just chill. It's just chill and allow that there's something very deep and powerful happening at the soulmate level, which can only occur by you deliberately withdrawing, okay, and allowing the energies just to flow and treating it as an opportunity to heal, as opposed to something that has to be fought, okay? Sorry, we don't need this right now. I was just getting very concerned. Let's have a look. What are you radiating here? Okay, well, with the Page of Cups, my feeling is it's almost like this is a very humbling time period for you, Leo, especially the early parts of May, the first 3 weeks, where it feels to me that in terms of love and relationship, love and romance, it's almost like the best thing to do is just like give up. It's just like, it's just like, it's okay. I can't handle it. I've reached my peak. I've reached my limit. I'm much more interested in the love than trying to figure out, how to fix everything and anything that might even appear to be slightly wrong. Instead, chill, allow the energies to flow and move and like swirl you around from the inside out. Not take it too personally, and realize that you're innocent, okay? Realize that you still have a lot to learn, okay? A lot to learn that can only be learned in the context of a love relationship. And that love relationship can include everything that's conflicted between yourself and another, okay? So it looks like the indication here is to take a very innocent perspective, understand that we're all innocent and naive to some degree, and that we have a lot to learn. There's always a journey unfolding in front of us, and particularly for you right now, this is your time. And it's okay. It's like if you can honestly admit that you don't know everything and that there's a lot to learn, and you would like to do that. You would like to become more aware, more loving, like being more loving, being more loved. But how does that work? How do we do that? Okay. So it's okay to be that way. You don't have to be like a love relationship genius master, the most amazing relationship in the world. You can just be you in your innocence, in your naivety, in your full awareness, in your most loving self with all the best of intentions, okay? And then just go forward knowing that because of Terra Illumination said so, because the reality is you're dealing with what's technically a very, very challenging time period for you. So don't fight it, accept it, chill back, treat this as a moment of healing or self-healing or relationship healing, okay? What about the other? Okay, well, it might feel to you, Leo, that you're dealing with a significant other who is determined to get things together for themselves. Now, they might be very, very self-focused here at this time, which might make you feel as though you're being perhaps left out, or where like you have no options. There's no point in trying to force a situation. And again, treat this as an opportunity for you to chill out. In other words, seriously, seriously step back from any kind of confrontation or battles or desires to like resolve things that are not resolved. Allow them to be on their own trip right now, where they might feel very concerned in ways that you do as well, but they're taking care of it in their own way. They might be doing whatever they can to get their act together for themselves so that they can be the most uh, loving and lovable person that they can be in the context of a love relationship, okay? And that doesn't happen all the time. Some people are just, everything is done by reflex behavior, you know. Somebody gets angry, that triggers anger in somebody else. Everything becomes drama, which is like in some ways a huge waste of energy. It might make great stuff on a episodic romantic TV series, but in day-to-day life, drama can be very, very consuming and futile. So it looks to me like what's happening here for you, Leo, is you're dealing with someone who might be aware that you are kind of struggling in your own way. They're not going to let them they're not going to let that get you down. Just because you might be having a hard time doesn't mean they're going to stop living their life. In a relationship, there's shared energy, there's pooled energy. And so someone has to take charge. Like if you're having a really, really rough time right now, it might be okay to allow them to take charge, take the lead, keep everything together, holding the fort down, holding the whole relationship together if necessary in order to keep things going, because they might see and enjoy the benefits. Okay, so there's nothing threatening here. Even though this is a very strong card, there's no point in taking it personally, like they're trying to control you and own you and steer you and manage your life. They're much more doing this for themselves in order to maintain their integrity. My feeling is so that it has a chance of working for the better for the relationship overall. Let's have a look deep inside. Okay, well, it's obvious that there are some deeply buried conflicts here that perhaps have not surfaced yet, or that are not surfacing yet, or that have been repressed or seriously repressed. That's how I'm feeling it here with the Ten of Swords. And if this is not expressed or absorbed, if this is not expressed or revealed, then this can turn into a very festering, like gnarly situation that just gets worse and worse and worse. So if you, Leo, are in a situation where there's a lot of buried anxiety, buried wounds, buried resentment, bitterness, for whatever reason, like if it's a long-term relationship and all the things that have never worked or never seemed to work have just piled up to the point where it's just become too much, and that becomes the most obvious thing in the relationship, that's a serious problem. Okay, and if you keep burying all that stuff, it turns into nuclear waste, which turns into a very unwelcome type of energy, which can, you know, become very, very toxic and pollute the whole relationship. So in other words, you can't keep burying this. If you've reached the absolute limits of your, let's say, toxic waste dump that everybody has, in the context of a relationship. Like pretend you have, like everybody has some kind of dumpster where they dump all the doo-doo that they can't handle in a relationship. You've got your waste trash can, they've got their waste trash can, but yours is absolutely loaded up to the max where it can't go anymore. That's a big problem. So this needs a lot of healing, okay? A lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. You might know, you might not be aware of it at the conscious level, how bad things are at the foundations. So maybe it's time to be aware of it. So maybe all the pain and discomfort that you might be sensing with this huge square to you, these double squares to you, might be exactly what you need in order for a healing period to occur. In other words, it's very important, even though this is very deeply at the soul level, this needs to be healed, okay? So that's why I'm seeing this circumstantial energy as a chance for healing now. This needs to be exposed. You might be dealing with them in such a way that they're fully aware of it, but they still got to live, conduct their own life, and they've got their own dumpster to handle too. So let's have a look deep inside of them. Okay, my feeling is that they're fully aware of you and your situation, and the things that are not working. And in some ways, it smells really bad to them, but it smells not like yuck, it smells of tragedy. That's what I'm feeling here. It's almost like they are over here conducting their lives as nobly and diligently as they can, determined to keep themselves together, loving themselves first, not letting your own doo-doo messes that you've stashed up contaminate them or their life or their world, because they're being very self-loving, okay? However, that puts them in a position where, like, the worst thing they could do is to, like, pity you or indulge you and keep, like, fostering like a fake relationship which would encourage you to keep dumping your doo-doo back in the dumpster. That's not going to work. So from their perspective, from the way I see it here at Tarot Lumination, is that they are at their soul level, they are sensing the energy of tragedy and grief about what's happening in the relationship. But again, it's buried. It's just like nobody wants to talk about this stuff because it's very toxic. So you're living your life as though nothing's going wrong. They're living their life just to maintain their own integrity. But deep down, you've got some very serious issues that are seriously out of whack that need to be tended. From their perspective, this is tragic because in a way it's not their doo-doo. This is just you, the person. Remember, you still have a complete identity as a person. They still have a complete identity, and you share this in the context of a loving relationship. And in a very loving relationship, you get to be you, they get to be themselves, and you foster the growth of each other as individuals. The process of individuation, becoming more and more yourself, is a very, very fundamental part of relationship as far as Tarot Lumination is concerned. Deliberately fostering the spiritual growth and healing of your significant other, and they in return offering that to you. Sometimes that often means going through very difficult moments that need to be healed in order to foster the next growth of healing, the next stage of spiritual growth, for example. So you might be at the soul level deeply suffering to the point where it's not tolerable anymore. They're fully aware of it, and it's tragic from their point of view, but what can they do? Because if you keep insisting, Leo, on burying this stuff and not treating it and not healing it, then it just gets worse and worse and worse. So hopefully by the end of May, let's have a look, the love will flow. Yes, the Queen of Cups. Hopefully, my feeling here is eventually the ego or the self or the self-protective ego will crack. And eventually all this stuff will just ooze out like a sore or a wound that is just cracking open, and it needs love and it needs healing. And in a way, that's a good thing because finally the love can flow. You know, maybe it's a very painful part of a journey, painful part of a relationship to get to one of those moments where all the yucky stuff that's been buried suddenly gets revealed and opened for healing, the revealing for the healing. To me, that's really important as a reader. So what can happen is it might expose that there is a lot of love between you guys. It just hasn't had a chance to flow properly because the things that haven't been working have just been shift aside, buried deep in the soul dumpster, treating your soul as a dumpster, which is very, very unhealthy habit, and creates tragedy not only for you, but for the other and for the relationship itself. So my feeling here is at the core, there is love. There is love for sure, more than enough love that you guys know what to do with. It's just the question of what are you going to do with it? Because you might not have the experience, you might not have the knowledge or the wisdom of how to advance or grow in the love life, in the love and the relationship. So you end up stagnating, in fact, going in reverse. Remember, you've got all through May, we've got Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all in retrograde, and the Saturn-Pluto retrogrades just happened. So that can feel very much like everything is being set to action replays, action rewinds, how to figure things out in certain aspects of life. And you might be feeling that here, for all we know. Prospects. Okay, well, to me, this feels like the energy of like courage, almost like heroic energy, where the Queen of Wands represents like what happens when you crack. Let's just say, Leo, you crack. You realize deep down at the soul level you can't take it anymore. And you crack, and you crack, and you crack open, and you have a breakdown, and you just completely gush. And that is actually part of the healing process. In other words, no more brave faces, no more showmanship or anything like that to pretend like everything's okay. Just admitting that certain things have gone beyond tolerability and they need exposure for healing. It's almost like being like in a spiritual hospital and psychologically you crack. Everyone's been waiting for you to crack, where you end up just becoming an innocent baby, more or less, a crying, sobbing, innocent baby. And that is the big signal where all your doctors, your loved one, your healers can take you and say, finally, Leo, now we can help you because your soul is open, your heart is open, you've broken open, and the relationship, the love that's there can now flow. And that's an inspiration. It's almost like they applaud you. We applaud you, Leo, for being courageous enough to reveal all the pain and the suffering and allowing yourself to be healed, okay? This is very, very courageous. That's what I'm seeing here, to the point where you can be an inspiration to others. Like, oh my gosh, if Leo can do that, if Leo can go through all the hell that you've been through and then crack open and admit that it was hell and that you need healing and that there's still love that exists, and it's just simply waiting here on the sidelines. Pretend that's a little tiny miniature Two of Cups. Do you see that? Pretend that's your like secret, and you know that, and they know that too. And now at least the chance happens where love has the chance to flow. So this is encouraging. It's exciting. But I feel that this is very much more towards the end of the month. Okay? That's how it resonates with me here at Tarot Lumination anyway. So I wish you all the best. I'm just going to leave it at that. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising. Make the best of it. Reinterpret however you want. It's your reading for you guys. I'm just doing a Tarot Lumination perspective. Okay? All the best. Thank you so, so much. Have a super May, Leo. Bye-bye.